Welcome, Patriots, to the America First Warehouse, the America First podcast, coming to you live from the most patriotic venue in the country, the most patriotic event center and production studio in America. This is the divine inspiration and creative genius of Joe the Box and the amazing First Lady Tony. So today is Tuesday, July 30th, coming to you live. And I am joined by my esteemed colleagues. We've got the great Teresa, who is an American patriot, activist, group leader, one of the beating hearts here at the America First Warehouse. We've got the great Steve Levy, former Suffolk County executive, former New York State legislator. He is the author of a book that is chock full of common sense strategies. The name of the book is
Solutions to America's Problems.
Right, and that's why he named his business Common Sense Strategies. So, Teresa, take it away.
So we need solutions. I love that. And thank you, Steve Squared. I have my two Steves on each side of me today. So we do have some exciting news here. This will be the last day that we're going to be streaming on all of our social media platforms. And our new method will be through our website at www.theamericafirstwarehouse.com. There's 3 ways on that to access the live streams. The podcast will be on there and all live events. And you can either go to the top tab where it'll say live streams. There'll be a red button in the middle of the screen that says you can click here for live streams and podcasts. And there's a little red icon on the right side of our website that says tune in live on Tuesdays. That's a live link also. So anytime there's going to be a live stream or a podcast, go to our website, check that out. While you're on the website, check out all of our other stuff. We have great merch, great events under the events tab. We have a lot of really awesome things coming up over the next 2 months and beyond, and we'll get to that in a little bit. And and the podcast next Tuesday will be accessed through the website. So we are ready for all that. Sorry,
Okay.
sorry everyone. They're talking in my ear. I'm not used to this.
So we are going to be live streaming through our website.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And then, so if anybody wants to tune in live, if they want to watch the America First podcast, you weren't able to see it live and you want to check it out afterwards, you can go to www.theamericafirstwarehouse.com and click on the live stream button.
Yeah, there's 3 different ways to access it. That's what I was mentioning. So
Yeah.
you can't miss us. We'll be there. We're excited to do it that way. And we got a lot to talk about, huh, fellas?
Yes.
Boy,
So
do.
if it's okay, I'm going to start, Steve. So we have, as usual, never a shortage of compelling issues. So we've got the deification of Kamala Harris by the media, right? We've got the media calling J.D. Vance weird, and the weird part is that they seem to conspire to call him weird at the same time. We've got the election fraud in Venezuela. We've got Biden trying to remake the Supreme Court. We have the attack in Israel. Start us off, Steve. What do you want to talk about first?
So many things. Let's start off with Venezuela because it will dovetail into an article I have coming out in the Washington Examiner tomorrow on voter fraud. Now, this is Venezuela. Maduro is a thug, as we know. He's a Marxist thug, just as Chavez was before him. And if anyone thinks you're going to get a free and fair election in such a banana republic, I've got a bridge to sell you. But then again, here in America, we are becoming an outlier amongst Western democracies where we're becoming more and more like Venezuela as opposed to the other European Western democracies, none of whom use this massive mail-in voting. They still use the old-fashioned paper ballot, not the electronic machines that, yes, they can be manipulated. I didn't say hacked in that you can hack all the machines at once because they're decentralized, but you can't
I think you can.
Well, they're decentralized, but you can't play games with the individual districts based upon the software that goes in there. And in fact, if you recall, there were reports that many of the machines that are out there today were purchased and created for Venezuela.
Right.
So
That's
now
right.
why does Venezuela want these machines so that they can maybe manipulate what the numbers are? There was actually a very interesting point where a professor, a Michigan professor, was in front of a judge and in real time showed that professor how with a credit card and a Bic pen can manipulate an electronic machine. So was there fraud in the Venezuelan election? I don't have proof of it yet, but I'll bet you there was. Now here, and I'll segue real fast, and I'll give it back to you guys, but I want to mention what my article was about. It was about 6 individuals who were just indicted last week by the Queens District Attorney for
Right.
mail-in voter fraud. What did they do? They sought absentee ballots for people already on the voting rolls, hoping that those people would not show up to vote, and they'd forge their name and put it in. And they almost got away with it, except one of the voters actually did show up in a very quiet primary and said, they was told, you voted already. He said, no, I didn't. And then they backtracked and were able to unveil this. But that is just the tip of the iceberg. Just wait till these bad actors start looking as to who died in the last 2 years, who moved in the last 2 years, and cross-reference that with the voting list where those people are not purged. They're going to get the absentee ballot, they're going to sign their name, and they're going to put it in a drop box, and
right.
no one's going to know where it came from.
Can I say something to that real quick?
Yes.
So I'm going to give one example first. I'm going to mention the event we had on Saturday. So I did a lot of research on this with the New York grassroots teams that were combating the election integrity from 2020. And, I was part of a campaign in 2022, which I think some fraudulent stuff actually happened out here in Suffolk County, but that's another topic. And I just want to give people an example. They don't realize the countless ways of how these, elections can be stolen or fraudulent. And I also, my own personal opinion is if one ballot, one voter if one is fraudulent, the whole thing gets wiped out. I don't care if it's one or a millions, okay? Fraudulence is fraudulence. If one is fraudulent, it should be recounted. There was a situation upstate New York where they were going back after they did their audit to get affidavits, right? And they went to a property where I believe multiple, but at the very least one. They went to the property to get affidavits from the voters. There's property there. There's no house there, and there's never been a house there. Okay, so there's that one got me. I said, wow, these people are so brazen. They're making votes from homes that don't even exist on a property. So that's just one little example. There's millions. There's many different ways. And so to follow that, we did have a great event here on Saturday night with the America Project. One of the big panels, one of the 3 panels that we had was election integrity. So what I'm going to tell the audience today is if you weren't here on Saturday, you couldn't watch it live, we should be uploading Saturday's event on our website today, I believe. And I encourage you guys to look at the panel, watch the whole thing if you can, but the panel on election and then the grassroots groups that were here show you how you can get involved. We work with about 6 grassroots groups. So it was True the Vote, Project Civica, New York Citizens Audit, Cause of America, which I believe is tied to Mike Lindell, Precinct Strategy. Am I leaving one out? United Sovereign Americans. So I encourage you all to look up those grassroots groups, see how you can get involved, because the amount of corruption that goes on with elections is insurmountable at this point, and we need to get ahead of it. And there are groups that will be doing what you said. They're going to start looking to see who died in the last 2 years. I'm still on the voter rolls as my maiden name from over 20 years ago, and what they do in those situations is women that got married, they'll make a vote under your maiden name if you're still on the voter roll, and then you're voting as your regular name.
Democrats refuse to purge the rolls.
They won't do it.
You have to ask why. Why would you want to keep dead people on the ballot or people who moved 5 years ago? There's only one reason why you'd want to keep them on, because you anticipate that there's going to be some type of fraud there. The same reason they refuse to force you to have voter ID. Why would you be against voter ID where every other country in the world, probably including Venezuela, require voter ID?
And I want to give it back to Steve, but before I do that, I want to leave this thought. It's very important. I have a college student. Our kids are going to go back to school next month, and if you want to get ahead of it now, I did it last year and the year before to make sure my son was set up because this is the election of our lifetime. So if you're a snowbird and you're going to be going back to your other house, or you have college students, figure out now how you can make your vote, because this is the year that we need to do that.
Right. So, Teresa, Saturday night, one of the speakers we had was Tim Meisberger. and he is
What a
an
powerhouse, right?
international subject matter expert on election integrity. And one of the things, we're going to have him on one of the upcoming podcasts.
Awesome.
One of the points he made, Steve, is that the electronic machines, and man, I spent my whole career in technology, right? So, but the machines make auditing an order of magnitude more challenging, right? So you talked about the other countries. The United States is actually
We're the outlier.
right. We now are exactly. So the thing is that people have noted we've always had there's always been some degree of fraud because of the voter rolls, the
Yep.
integrity of the voter rolls. But now, when you throw in the mix such an a 6-week or 8-week voting period, extended voting period with mail-in ballots.
Drop boxes, ballot harvesting.
Harvesting, yep.
Ballot harvesting. You now have the perfect recipe for massive fraud. And the
exact
thing
words
that's
I use in my article.
yeah, so the thing that's scary to people is that Trump's been talking about you got to make it too big to rig.
That's right.
And in Venezuela, it shows that when you have such a evil, corrupt government, because we talked about this earlier, there was some polling that showed that the challenger, I think Gonzalez,
Yeah.
was up by like 30 points in exit polling. Now, you had mentioned we don't know the source of who did the exit polling, but the point that if you can make it, a massive landslide, right, then the cheating, you can overcome the cheating. And Venezuela may prove that that's not true. Right, and this ties to what's going on here with Kamala, because, and I've got something I could read later if we have time, but what's clear to me is that the media now is propping her up. We have the deification of Kamala Harris, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to inject the plausibility that there's so much momentum and support for Kamala
It's
that
just
they can
propaganda.
get her within the range of cheating, so that if she emerges the victor, it'll be plausible because there was so much support for her.
I don't think it's going to work.
Well, she's definitely getting a sugar rush. We saw a big lift for the Republicans after their convention and after the assassination attempt. And then bingo, the next weekend, Biden drops out and it injects this reinvigoration of a lot of disaffected Democrats out there. Well, she's still a lousy candidate, but at least she can put a sentence together sometimes. But, she's getting that rush from the corrupt media that is really an arm of the Democratic Party. But over time, her record is going to come out, and it's devastating. I am a little surprised that the Trump campaign was not ready with ads to go immediately, because you want to identify your opposition immediately. You don't want them to have time to paint a different face on this
Absolutely.
ugly, on this ugly situation that they have. They should have been ready. They still can. You're seeing the conservative media come out with her record, because you'll never see it on CNN or MSNBC, but they're just laying it out. This is a woman who wants to legalize all illegal aliens. She is for ending health insurance, to make us all be dependent on the government for your health care, and on and on and on it goes, taxing our unrealized capital gains. When people start to realize what she is going to do to this country, it will be frightening, and that's all you have to do. You don't have to go after a color. You don't have to go after a gender. Just stick to the issues and you'll win.
Yeah, but you know what? It's funny. I came across a video yesterday, and I've been starting to see them. Many black people in America, because that's who they're trying to target, right? She's a black female. It's all I keep hearing on The View and all these people, these young black girls, and I get it. They want to aspire to be yeah, right. All of us have the chance to be president one day. I hope my daughter has that opportunity as well. But they've had enough. The black population is saying, we're not going to buy your lies anymore. We know it's all BS. You're not going to keep disenfranchising us and using us as pawns.
They pay for
they're
groceries
speaking.
too.
They sure do, and they've had it. I think we are going to go to break. I think we're bringing in a special guest. Is it 11:30 already?
No,
It's only 11:15. Okay.
Yep.
I'm
Just
not
the
used to
A-block.
this job. This is a David Zier job, guys. I'm still learning for all you out
By
there
the way,
watching.
I know we're going to break. That's another thing that the media now is latching onto, is that the polling shows that the blacks
They're not.
that Trump is getting crushed now with Kamala Harris.
Propaganda. Propaganda. That's what that is.
Yes.
We're going to go to commercial. We'll be right back.
Hi, you remember me as Hercules facing incredible odds for the world that he cherished. But today, I'm stepping into a different role. Not as a mythical hero, but as a fellow American. I'm inviting you to embark on a mission crucial to our nation's future. At this pivotal moment, America stands at a crossroads. Our unity, values, and vision for tomorrow are being tested. It might seem like the weight of the world is too heavy for one person to lift, but history shows us that it's the courage of individuals that has always illuminated the path forward. The call for heroes is more urgent than ever. Not the mythical ones, but real-life individuals like you, ready to uphold what's right, champion truth, and unite in protecting our beloved nation. This is your moment. Your journey as a modern-day hero starts right now. Stand with AMAC and let's show the world the power of true heroism in action. Visit amac.us/hero to join AMAC. Be the hero our country needs.
The America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine, and you've seen that. But it was through divine inspiration that it kind of happened. Sometimes life throws, you get some things and tragedy hits, and all of a sudden you got to rethink and kind of look at things a little differently. But we wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed, because there is nothing out there like it. You go out into the world, the frustration, the tension, and anxiety is pretty brutal, for most. And how do you deal with it? How do you deal with it? Prayer for sure, but we give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
Welcome back to the America First Warehouse. We are going to be bringing on a special guest on the boots from Nevada. Do we have David?
A special guest, Teresa. I'm so excited.
It's a very special guest.
While we're
Start
waiting,
guessing, audience. Go in the comments and start guessing who you think it's
While
going to be.
we're waiting
It's
for
not Donald
David.
Trump.
I wanted a segue.
There he
Oh,
is.
there he is.
There's our good friend.
Brother David.
David, I'm trying. This is hard to fill your shoes here. Yes.
Yeah.
There's our buddy.
Yes,
We are live.
We are streaming live, David.
And that's a 3-hour difference.
Wow.
The race is heating up in Nevada.
Flying with them to Gilbert, Arizona, and they'll be on the border the next day where Ben Berquam's going to take over for me because I have stuff to do. But this is very historic. The campaign is at breakneck speed right now. It's just incredible what's going on here. It's only 100 days to go.
Hey, David.
So how are you guys?
David, great.
Yeah.
It's Steve here, Steve Levy. I want to get your take on the whole weird concept being thrown out there about J.D. Vance and the former president. I just think it's so ironic that a party that has a topless male with breast on the White House lawn, a party that is led by a man who said he used to like children rubbing their hands up and down his leg and sniffs prepubescent girls' hair, calling another candidate weird. What do you think of that they're trying to latch on to this weird concept?
Yeah.
It's so ironic and hypocritical, don't you think?
The Democrats are degenerates. What can I say, Steve? You saw the light. You came over, and these people are unhinged. I want to take you guys down the line here and show you the line. Come on, man, come here. We're live at the America First warehouse back in New York. Say, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Leslie.
What do you like about Donald Trump? And do you think J.D. Vance was a good pick?
I think J.D. Vance was the best pick. We definitely support it. Trump is what we need to save the country.
Yeah, and what are the issues that you're most concerned about?
We've got to close the border. We've got to stop giving money to Ukraine and killing our country. So
Wow.
stop giving money to Ukraine, close the border,
Yeah.
and drill.
What about kitchen table issues for you? Things tight, in general?
It's for everybody, right?
Yeah.
You can't go to the grocery store and get out of there, under $200 anymore. It's crazy.
Yeah, what do you think about Trump's no taxes on tips out there, right?
It's perfect.
Right?
Especially growing up here.
In Vegas, service industry.
Yep. Used to be in the service industry. That
Yeah.
would have been amazing.
Bartending got me through about 8 years of my life.
Yeah.
All right, what do you do for a living?
Well, I'm semi-retired.
Oh,
I had
good.
a business.
That's no, you're too young for that.
I
I
know.
that.
I got
What are you like in crypto or something?
No,
Bitcoin?
I opened a pet resort.
Oh my God!
So,
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. Do you take humans? I need a
Now
facial.
I work at a real estate office. Just
Wow, good feel. Real estate's kind of booming here, right? There's cranes everywhere. You got a Republican governor, red state. You think Sam Rosen has a chance against? Sam Brown has a chance against Jackie Rosen. All right,
we're gonna work for it.
all right, that's good. And we'll see you on the ground for Real America's Voice News in a little while. Thank you so much, guys. So it's really crazy here. I'm gonna have to leave you in a minute because I have to check in with the Trump Vance team. And the issues are the same everywhere we go, all around the country. And you guys have that great event on Saturday you had with the America Project. People are upset, they're angry. It's $1,000 a year per family to fund the border. And they can't make it on ends meet, with their lives and families. I had a woman come up to me and she said, I had to sell my house. My husband's making more than ever, but I had to move back in with my mother because we still can't pay the bills. So that's what's going on here.
Well, David, thank you so much for checking in with us. We love you. We hope you stay hydrated. Try to stay out of the sun. I know you're bragging that you got to go talk to the Trump campaign and the Vance campaign, but that's what you do.
Well, it's a little crazy, so I got to check in. I have luggage with me here. I'm going to show you my luggage here.
David works harder than almost anybody I know.
Wow.
That man
Yeah.
works
Oh my
so
God.
hard.
He's up there with Brian.
I'm
Kilmeade,
walking
I
around
think.
Vegas with a rolling bag.
That's awesome. If you say something, what if you see something, say something, be careful with that random bag sitting there, Dave.
All right, David, final important question. Are you a craps person or a blackjack person in Vegas?
I won $400 on the slot machine this morning, and I broke even on blackjack.
Good
so
for
I
you.
was
Wow.
out the door.
Woo.
Wow.
I
Okay.
was, it
Great
was like
omen.
I'm like a dog. I got distracted by the bright lights. I had to stop and play some slots.
All right. Sounds like
I'm
lunch
up.
on David when he
Right?
returns.
Dave, I always say David knows. There's no one that works harder than David's here. Real America's Voice, Breaking Point on Saturday mornings, a good friend and a part of the team here at the America First Warehouse. He does it all.
Yeah.
He's Coach Dave, Chef Dave, musician Dave.
Coach Dave.
He's-
By the way, that Ohio Brett interview got many thousands of views. He was really great.
That's awesome.
great.
He's coming back to do some events, so all of you that are watching, stay tuned for that. You saw Coach Brett last week. He'll be
And-
back.
Yeah, and by the way, I was at TPUSA this weekend, TPUS Faith Believers Summit. It was amazing. There were thousands of people there. Pastor William Green showed up. I put him on camera. We had great speakers, John Chakwu, a firebrand from Nigeria, bringing the heat. Trump came right after the meeting.
Oh, I was supposed to be
down
there.
at Mar-a-Lago. He met, Netanyahu has to come to Mar-a-Lago to get, any indicators of where the U.S. stands on helping them. And they come to Trump. They don't go to Biden. And Biden didn't even meet him on the tarmac. So that believer summit, that faith summit, Trump said, if you're a Catholic or you're a Jew, how could you even vote Democrat?
That's
It's
right.
morally reprehensible.
I say that all the time.
It was just an extraordinary event. And, there are people who have faith, and it's nice to see. You turn on the TV and it's all violence and gore and crap, and you come to places like TPUSA and Real America's Voice and the America First Warehouse, and it's like sanctuary.
Thank God.
It's real America.
Sure is.
All right, buddy. Good seeing
David,
you.
David, you are a Renaissance man. Thank you.
Keep working on that Nevada tan.
Thank you, guys. Miss you all, love you all, and we'll see you soon, all right?
Yes, safe travels. We'll see you in a couple of days, Dave. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, guys,
I love him.
getting back to the weird concept, I hope that the Republicans will put together a montage, and I'm sure they will, of the weirdness of the Democratic Party. I forgot to mention, remember the guy that Biden appointed to one of his departments or divisions, the cross-dresser who was
Yeah.
stealing
the luggage.
women's valises so he can extract their clothing and wear it. I mean, you talk about weird, right? It's like
I will say
they're trying
this.
to mainstream this garbage, and they're calling normal Americans who go to church weird.
Well, I want to encourage people. I have to say, at first I was a little surprised by the J.D. Vance pick. So I started doing my research because I try to tell everybody, before you make any judgments, do your research, right? So we watched Hillbilly Elegy. I fell in love with him right away only because when you're a real American who went through real hell, and we're in hell right now, and he took himself out of hell in his own life. And I've had a difficult life myself. This
And
kid
joined
put
the
himself through.
military to
Yeah,
fight
he
for our
put himself
country
on the
in
front line
Iraq.
as a Marine, front
Unlike
line defense.
Kamala Harris, who's
That's right.
calling him, questioning his
That's right.
patriotism.
He stood by his mother and helped her out through drug addiction. You could see the stress in him in that movie. It was such a great depiction of his life. And it made me love him as a real person. It humbled it down to me. And I really feel that if you take all the politics out of it, those are the kind of people I want running my country, who really have a stake in it, who took themselves from rags to riches. And I think you should all watch the movie and then do some more research and then come to terms with what he's all about.
So he's got the values. He's America first.
He's a family
and
man. He's a
he is
hardworking
wicked smart and
businessman.
articulate.
Yes, he is.
Right?
Yeah, I saw that Anna Navarro, that dweeb, who's on the on the View, say he's just dumb Vance. I mean, you can call J.D. Vance a lot of things. You can't call him dumb.
You
This is
can't.
a guy who came out of nowhere and went to Yale Law School. This is one bright son of
But
a
he
gun.
didn't just go to Yale. He had such a tumultuous time trying to do his education and still came out on top.
Yeah. Talk about projection, right, Steve?
Absolutely.
Well,
I will
it's-
say,
they
though,
try to desensitize people and they try to, put a narrative out there.
I said it at the last one. I wasn't happy with the pick. I would have hoped that President Trump would have tried to broaden the base. I think the big problem we have is that ceiling of 47, 48%. You got to get the 50.
But do you think Trump did that to try to appeal to the millennial crowd? Because that's what I was hearing
Not
at
the
one point.
millennial crowd. I think he was doing it to try to appeal to those Rust Belt states.
Okay.
And he's hoping that Vance will be there for him. And he might be proven right because let's face it, while everybody else was looking at all these different issues in 2016, Trump nailed it. It was trade and immigration. And Jared Kushner, to his credit, said, go spend time in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, Michigan. And it paid off. And even Bill Clinton was telling the Democrats, you got to get over here.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we don't have to go there. So Trump was right on that. I just thought that a Rubio pick or a Scott pick would have broadened the appeal to those voters that are
But
on
I
the fence.
think
And
Donald
you also
Trump-
got to vet your candidates. And sometimes when a guy's only been in office for a little bit, some of these things come out, like the cat lady reference, which wasn't very helpful. So I hope I'm proven wrong, and I hope that they are able to latch on to those disaffected Rust Belt voters, get those votes for the Electoral College, and put them over the top.
I will say I do trust Donald Trump almost implicitly, so I want to believe that he has a good intention for this. And he does two things. Trump's very smart. He's either bringing him into the limelight for a reason or he brings people in to expose them. I don't know if J.D. Vance needs to be exposed, but I will say, in my personal opinion, I trust Donald Trump's judgment.
Yeah. And I think he didn't want somebody who was too entrenched in Washington, D.C.
Right. He can almost mold him into the kind of candidate and vice president that we want, and he's obviously able to learn the ropes.
Vance is his own man, and I just think that there's great alignment in terms of their policy positions. I think Trump's playing the long game for 4 years, after his term, God willing. And I believe the only thing that can stop Trump from being president is, if they don't kill him, the fraud factor, right?
That's
So he's
right.
playing the long game with Vance. I think that's very smart. Yes, Steve, I do agree with you. I would have loved to have seen, before she shot herself in the foot, Kristi Noem as an example.
Talk about
of,
malpractice.
with her experience in both Congress as as a governor, right? Because at the end of the day, the president is the head of the executive branch, governor's head of
That's
the
right.
executive branch at the state level.
Or Huckabee Sanders. I don't know why she wasn't considered more.
Yeah.
She's loyal.
She's great.
Doing a great job down there in Arkansas. She's liked.
But
and-
sometimes
and
you're more
Excellent
powerful as
point.
governor, and sometimes you're more powerful where you're
Excellent
needed.
point.
You know.
Yeah.
And I
So
will
we'll
say
see.
this: I don't know if I ever told you guys my wishes, just to keep it a little light. In my wishes, we're gonna go Donald Trump, then Donald Trump Jr. for 8 years, then Eric Trump for 8 more years, and then Barron for 8 more years. That's my long-term dream.
Right.
Maybe the girls too.
You'll get Trump fatigue like you got Clinton and Bush fatigue.
I don't
So
know. The
I don't
Trump
know
family
if
just
you
seems
can
to deliver. I would rest assured knowing that the Trump family would keep the administration going from
Let's
at least
just win
32
this
more
November
years.
and stop the Marxists
Amen.
from taking control.
Laura Trump is a rock star.
Is a rock star.
She's
She
awesome.
is
awesome.
And so
Amazing.
is Donald Trump's, I think it's fiance now, Kim Guilfoyle. I always say that wrong. How do you say that last name? Guilfoyle?
Kimberly.
Kimberly.
Kim.
Guilfoyle.
Guilfoyle?
Guilfoyle.
Jeez, I couldn't get that out. She's a powerhouse too. There's some strong women in that clan.
Yeah. Though she looks a little bit scary.
Well, she's
Last
doing a
few
little,
times I've seen
yeah.
her.
But she's got a beautiful soul and heart, I've heard.
When she
She's-
speaks, she's got to tone it down a little bit. She screams a little too much, but she's a very bright
She's powerful.
woman.
It's a powerful
Very
crew.
bright
She's
woman.
all fired up.
Any last thoughts in the next 25 seconds, fellas?
So we've got one more break and then
Yep.
one more segment.
We're going to go to
Yeah,
commercial.
I think we get into the Supreme Court proposals by Biden and maybe what's happening in Israel, which people aren't really paying attention
right.
to, but we have to 12 children slaughtered
Oof.
by Hezbollah.
A lot of
And
distractions.
we have an administration that continues to push Israel away.
Well, we
It's
will
sad.
come right back to that when we get back. Stay tuned, and we'll see you in a minute.
Hi, I'm Kevin Sorbo. Now, many of you remember me as Hercules, facing incredible odds for the world that he cherished. Well, today, I'm stepping into a different role. Not as a mythical hero, but as a fellow American. I'm inviting you to embark on a mission crucial to our nation's future. At this pivotal moment, America stands at a crossroads. Our unity, values, and vision for tomorrow are being tested. It might seem like the weight of the world is too heavy for one person to lift, but history shows us that it's the courage of individuals that has always illuminated the path forward. The call for heroes is more urgent than ever. Not the mythical ones, but real-life individuals like you. Ready to uphold what's right, champion truth, and unite in protecting our beloved nation. This is your moment. Your journey as a modern-day hero starts right now. Stand with AMAC and let's show the world the power of true heroism in action. Visit amac.us/hero to join AMAC. Be the hero our country needs.
America First Warehouse was really the most patriotic venue that you can ever imagine, and you've seen that. But it was through divine inspiration that it kind of happened. Sometimes life throws, you get some things and tragedy hits, and all of a sudden you got to rethink and kind of look at things a little differently. But we wanted to build something for people to be able to come to and feel so comfortable and so relaxed, because there is nothing out there like it. You go out into the world, the frustration, the tension, and anxiety is pretty brutal, for most. And how do you deal with it? How do you deal with it? Prayer for sure, but we give an opportunity for people to really feel good about themselves and about this great country.
Welcome back to the America First podcast with my esteemed colleagues here, Steve Squared, I'm calling you. Steve Schmidt and Steve Levy. And we're going to kick this segment off to Steve. You're going to talk about the Supreme Court, right, and what's going on?
Yeah, well, Joe Biden might be a lame duck, but he's trying to change the focus of the election away from inflation, open border, massive crime, wars breaking out around the world, to something else, a shiny object on the side. And he's chosen to go with Supreme Court reform. Frankly, I don't think the measures that he's talking about are bad ones. In my book, Solutions to America's Problems, I actually did call for term limits for Supreme Court justices. The difference is, notice that Biden is saying it should be implemented immediately on present justices. It just so happens that the last 3 justices were conservative who were appointed. The last 3 justices are the oldest. And they want the Republicans to be gone. If you're going to do it, it should be done on a prospective basis for the next appointment. So I thought that was quite interesting. I don't think Republicans should fight the idea of higher ethical standards for the Supreme Court. Every other judge has to disclose finances and gifts and things like that. We shouldn't fight that, but
Full transparency from all the judges.
but it
Absolutely.
is rather interesting that this is only coming up now with 100 days before the election, where they could have been talking about, or it's only coming up now that some of the latest decisions from the court have not gone the way of the liberal Democrats. When things are going their way, they're just fine with it. There's no need for structural reform. When a couple of decisions go against them, we have to stack the court like FDR wanted to do, right?
Yeah. So, Steve, what you talked about with ethics, how about insider trading with respect to Congress? How about we just take the notion of having stronger ethics and just full disclosure and term limits, and like many people have already said, apply that to the House of Representatives and the Senate. So I think the proposal is that it's like 18 years, I believe, right?
Yes.
That they would
18-year
basically
limit.
turn over a justice like every 2 years. Well, how about having a 12-year, or even, I could even live with 18 years, but 12 years ideally for 6 2-year terms in the House,
Exactly.
2 6-year terms in the Senate. Turn it over. Right?
Rules for thee, but not for me,
Yeah.
according to
So
Congress
I hope.
and the
So
Democrats.
I agree with you. I
Democratic
know
Party.
a lot of people are pushing back, and they're talking about the constitutionality of it. Right? Some people are trying to, label it as an insurrection against the Constitution. But there is merit with some of the ideas. Let's have that discussion about the House of Representatives, the Senate, as well, and let's hold them all more accountable. Go ahead,
I
Teresa.
totally agree. You guys hit it all nail on the head.
There was another part. It was the immunity decision from the Supreme Court that the Democrats and their friends in the media are simply lying about. They're trying to give the impression that the Supreme Court said that if a president murders someone or rapes someone
Right.
or takes a bribe, that they are immune from prosecution. It is not true. They made a clear distinction between official acts and unofficial acts
Right.
that do not pertain to the presidency. And Biden better be very careful. The old question,
Yeah,
be
he
careful what you wish
That's
for.
what I was just going to say.
Because he's doing things right now, such as totally violating the law in opening the border, okay? Which someone in a next administration can say, hey, that was treasonous. We're going to we're going to prosecute him. Or ignoring the Supreme Court that said you cannot vitiate student loans, and he does it anyway.
Exactly.
Someone can say, you violated the law, we're going to prosecute
But see, that's
you.
the thing. All the precedents that were sent against Donald Trump can now go right back down to
Exactly.
the Obamas, the Clintons, and Biden, because we were asleep for a long time, and the American people aren't asleep anymore. So
Right.
we're all paying attention now, and now we see the precedents that are getting set against President Trump.
Sure.
And
They
stay
can be
tuned.
they can be used against Biden, just like they could have been used against Obama, who many say violated the law technically
Absolutely.
by ordering a hit against an American citizen who, let's face it, had terrorist ties living overseas, but someone could say, oh, you violated the law, we're going to prosecute you. George Bush had to make some very tough decisions after 9/11, and you had interrogation processes that some would say went over the line.
You took the words out of my mouth.
And, we're now going to prosecute you. There's a reason the Supreme Court said that a president has to have the freedom, whether it's Bush, Obama, Biden, or Trump,
Yep.
to make decisions on behalf of the country without worrying that the next guy is going to put him in jail. So stop lying, Democrats. Stop lying, Joe Biden. Stop lying, Democratic press in the New York Times,
That's
and
right.
the Washington Post, and CNN. There was a specific reason why the Supreme Court made the distinction between official and
That's right.
unofficial acts. Steve?
Yeah, so Joe is a congenital liar, so he can't stop, okay? And, listen, he's always been mendacious. It is stunning that they want to do that exactly as you said. When Trump is guilty, they talk about Kamala. I'll take a prosecutor over a felon any day, right?
First of all, he's not a felon yet. The
He's not
American
a
people
fel-
doesn't
he's
know
not a
how this
felon
works.
yet, right? Because he hasn't
on
been
appeal.
He
sentenced.
hasn't
it's
been
going to
sentenced.
be
He's not a
overturned
felon
on
yet. I'll
appeal.
still
Yet.
vote for him if he's sitting in a jail
Right.
cell.
Okay, but you're absolutely right. And the thing is that with Biden, to reinforce what you said, he did those as official acts, right, through executive order or not enforcing the laws. And that's what the president is supposed to do. That.
Absolutely.
So Congress makes the laws, the courts interpret, right, and they judge the constitutionality, and the executive branch is supposed to enforce them. He didn't enforce the immigration laws. He's allowing this invasion of our country, purposeful invasion of the country. If there's anybody that should be prosecuted and that doesn't have immunity as a president, it's Joe Biden.
And I call that high treason.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm glad we shifted to that, because the goal of Biden and the Democrats and their allies in the media is to get us to talk about
Yes.
the Supreme Court.
Right.
And we've fallen into the trap a little bit. We had to mention it a slight, but now we got to stop talking about that and revert it back
Go ahead.
to the real issues that are impacting real Americans out there. The inflation that is now up 20% over 3 years. The border, which you alluded to, Steve, where we've gotten up to 10 million illegal aliens, which Kamala Harris wants to legalize and give them the right to vote. That's what it was all about from the start. They don't want to talk about her film clips having said we have to bail out rioters who are destroying our cities and defund the police. Yes, she did say that, okay? All that stuff is going to be
Resurfacing. Yeah,
coming
it's coming
back.
out.
And they want to talk about the Supreme Court, so they don't have to talk about that stuff, which is really the basis of her Marxist
Absolutely.
upbringing from her father.
That's
which
right.
You might be able to talk about. I mean, look at her pedigree.
Well,
she had some
her parents
ancestors who
are-
were slaveholders.
That's right.
And then she had a father who was a Marxist.
They're Marxists. She was an anchor baby. They're not even. I don't consider her a true U.S. citizen. Her parents were here on visas, I think, or visas for student. They were here for college. You could go back and look at her record, what she's done to the blacks in California, how she prosecuted them. They're all coming out now. It's there. I want people to research this. It's something else. I don't want to cut you guys off on this topic. I do want to give a few minutes to the Olympics before because
Yes,
we have
please do.
we have
Yes.
about 6 minutes left.
Talking about
we want to
weird?
talk about the
Weird.
Olympics,
You
then we'll
wanna
get
talk
into
about
what's coming down the
weird?
pike at the America First Warehouse. So who
Yes.
wants to take the lead on the Olympics? You
Go ahead,
want to
Steve-O.
start that?
Oh, well, I'm just laughing out loud when I hear the liberals talking about Vance and Trump being weird. And I'm looking at the Olympics, which is now controlled by, the liberal elites,
Deep state.
that element. And I'm watching, everything was dragged. And I'm saying, what does that have to do with uniting the world?
And there was children
just-
involved. There was a child involved in it.
It was
It's-
just a platform to push
Right.
this garbage. And then you say, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Well, Europe is
It's
now...
desensitizing the population to this sick
Yeah,
culture that they're trying to push
yeah.
on us.
Europe is now, France. I'm thinking, first of all, this is France. 1,000 years of culture, gone in a generation because of secularization and immigration. And you're seeing it in full force in these Olympics. So there's no longer France. There's a European Union.
It's global. It's even
It's
global.
I was just
They're
going to get
pandering
to
to
that.
the 5% of
Which
the
is-
population, less than 5% of the
So
population.
you go from European Union to globalist to what are globalists? Marxists. And what do Marxists want to do? They want to erode
That's right.
people's faith. They want
History.
to erode the distinctions between man and woman, and that's what this whole drag thing was with the Last Supper. There's no such thing as man or woman anymore. You're just on a spectrum, you know.
Oh, well, it's
and that's
yeah.
the way they started to disintegrate the existing institutions that they want to tear down and start all over with their weird utopia.
Yes, and people are defending this now. Suddenly, everybody's like this Greek mythology expert and trying to downplay and explain why that wasn't an attack on Christianity, because that's really what it was. It was disgusting, and we all know it.
Right. Their take on the Last Supper, and yes, it's perverse. It's par for the course with the left. The left destroys everything. They've destroyed the Olympics as something that should be
We
wholesome.
won't watch the Super Bowl anymore. I won't watch the Hollywood shows anymore. Now we can't watch the Olympics anymore because they integrate this garbage into all of those things.
Yeah. So, Steve, who do you think is setting the table, no pun intended, with the Last Supper? Who do you think is setting the table as far as that particular theme to go out there boldly? And they had really, it wasn't a genuine apology either. Oh, it's just you misinterpreted it, right?
Well, what I
Ultimately,
got-
the devil.
It's
but go
what I
ahead.
was getting
Yes.
into before. It's now elites who run Europe. It's not France and Italy, and England's trying to get away from it through Brexit. But the whole purpose of the European Union, if you ever see these elites at their summits, it's really nauseating. You know,
Right.
they're so anti-democratic in a sense that the people in Brussels are going to tell people in France and Italy and Greece and England what they can say, how they should think.
Yeah, and you'll have nothing and you'll like it.
Right. But these same elitists are the ones who run the show for the Olympics now. It's not, you know, some producer in France. It all comes from the top, from the European Union. And that mindset is globalist,
It is.
right? It's a
The 1% of the
globalist,
global elitist.
perspective. And by the way, Steve, do you think for 1 second that those globalists would have permitted a mockery of the Muslim religion or any other religion than Christianity?
Teresa, he's
Wait-
reading my mind.
Wait-
Heck,
Steve,
scary.
Steve squared here. I'm just going to leave the
But
stage.
that's exactly what I was going to say, Steve. You're right. Because fear and intimidation works.
We saw that during
And
the pandemic.
the thing is that they are too cowardly to ever attempt that with the fundamentalist Islamists,
That's right.
Remember, the
the
Marxists,
Sharia supremacists.
the Marxists see white, male,
Rich man.
Christian,
Yep.
right.
heterosexuals.
Right.
God forbid.
Don't forget that heterosexuals as being the oppressors. So the idea is bash down on whites, bash down on Christians, bash down on heterosexuals.
That's
right.
That's the new thing. It's like,
Right.
hey, if you're heterosexual,
It's not cool to be heterosexual
yeah,
anymore.
you
like-
are an exploiter. You've got to
insane.
be on the spectrum where you're fluid or you're not with it anymore. You know,
It's-
you are the old guard if you're a white
Well, that's how I think they're
Christian,
capturing the young.
heterosexual.
That's how they capture the young minds.
That's
because
what
if
they're
you're
doing
if
at
you're a
school.
weirdo in school or you don't fit in or you don't have a good friend group, now it's suddenly more acceptable to be
Right.
a pronoun of some
And by the
sort.
way, we want acceptance for people who are different.
course.
For people who are gay. For
Absolutely.
people who are trans. But now it's beyond.
It's way beyond that.
It's beyond acceptance. It's you must emulate
That's
this,
right. And we're
or
not-
you are an
yeah.
outcast.
We're not
That's where
playing
we are.
that.
And that was the whole purpose of that staging
Absolutely.
in the opening of the Olympics. That's what it's all about, Steve.
Right.
Great
Celebrate
thoughts.
it or be punished.
All right, I'm going to
You're
go through
take us
this.
to the punished,
I'm going to go
promised
through.
land.
Yeah, I'm going to go very quick here, guys. I might go over a minute, Martin. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're going to run over.
All right, so again, you can find us at www.theamericafirstwarehouse.com. Next Tuesday's podcast will be streamed right from that website, so please go there to find it. We have awesome things coming down the pike on August 11th. It's a Sunday. We will be having the second Mordecai Mission Summit with Pastor Green's team and our team. We really look forward to you guys coming. Hopefully we'll have a better morale that day. We got a little off course when Trump got shot, so we're looking forward to the next summit. So please check that out on our website. August 17th, we have Tom Holman, Border 911. If you've watched the RNC, Tommy is a powerhouse. I already told him how excited I am for him to do a mass deportation when he comes back in January, and he's ready, and he made that clear at the RNC. In September, we have 4 big events each Saturday. Stay tuned for those flyers. We're going to have Moms for Liberty the first week in September. We have AMAC coming with some amazing guest speakers.
We
have Peter Navarro come, right?
Yes.
You want to talk
so
on that?
The AMAC event is Boot Camp for Boomers. It's up on the amac.us website. We'll put it up on our website today. This is, Peter Navarro, John Solomon, Rebecca Weber, who's the CEO of
Yes.
AMAC, Lee
Lee
Zeldin,
Zeldin.
Tammy Bruce.
Very,
so this is all
and
you
there
need
might
to
be more. There might be more coming, I
Yes,
heard.
some
So
other
this
big
could be
names
very
as well.
exciting. I'm really excited about Peter Navarro.
Yes.
The third week in September, we have our third Mordecai Mission Summit. The last week, I'm hearing through the grapevine from Joe the Box that maybe Scott Lebato's coming with something special. So please stay tuned for that. We have a save the date for election night. We're going to have a huge, gigantic party here. We're going to start working on some fun things coming up in between. So please check the events tab often. You'll get some newsletters if you signed up for newsletters along the way. And you can check our social media platforms for updates. And that should really do it.
Yes. Teresa, I know we're over, but I want to share this.
That's
I
okay.
think this is a perfect
And
perfect way to wrap things up here. Thank you. So we are under the current administration. We have become one nation under fraud, clearly visible with bribery and corruption for all. And with the America First agenda and with Trump back in the White House, we will once again become one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you love One Nation Under God, visit our website because we have awesome T-shirts that say that. Stay well, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday. God bless you all.